Hi, I'm Wayne with Aphasia. On this podcast, Aphasia Recovery is our goal. Please watch episode 1, that's Aphasia Recovery episode 1, on my YouTube podcast, Wayne with Aphasia. I talk about what aphasia is, how we acquire it, and how we recover from it. I have a topic of discussion taken from the 10 program concerning our recovery. I give work assignments. They can be done in between episodes during the week. I share resources. I help empower you with your recovery. I give a tip for the day, something you can do every day to help in your recovery. I hope you join me. Today's topic of discussion is cardio, taken from the E in the 10 program. And we have a special guest today, Woody Gimbel. Woody has been fascinated with the way the human brain works and doesn't work. Since early in his professional career, he started his career as a special education teacher, working with children, diagnosing them with learning disabilities and emotional disturbance. He then worked for years as a family counselor. Next, he diagnosed and counseled people or persons experiencing addiction. Before moving on to leadership coaching in the last 20 years of his career. In each of these professional roles, the object was to help the individual heal first, then grow their executive function, the part of the brain that learns, decides, solves problems, and remembers. He obtained his MDE from the University of West Virginia. He has continued his professional education. That said, I'd like to introduce you to Woody. Hi, I want to thank Woody for joining us today, and we're going to be talking about cardio relative to our recovery, aphasia recovery. And so I want to say thank you for coming today, Woody, and I'm so glad that you're here.
Well, I'm honored to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, you're welcome.
It's one of my favorite subjects, too, is how to use cardio, something that doesn't have negative side effects.
Yeah.
For great benefits.
Oh, absolutely. I know you've been doing a little research on cardio, and so what have you come up with?
Well, it's pretty profound how helpful cardio is. It's even if you just walk, which doesn't quite get you up to the level of cardio, it starts to help circulation. Anytime you're helping circulation, you're improving the blood flow to the brain. And even walking will stimulate creation of enzymes in the brain that produce new neurons.
Wow.
And the new neurons are especially effective in the hippocampus. It's a fancy word, hippocampus. And that's the part of the brain that's responsible for memory and decision-making, problem-solving.
So everything we need for a recovery.
Exactly. And according to research, we get up to 3 times as many neurons if we engage in 20 to 30 minutes of cardio, maybe 3 times a week.
Wow.
So that's the best medicine you can get. You don't have to go to the pharmacy to get it, and it doesn't have any negative side effects. Now, assuming that you can walk, swimming is even better. Elliptical machine is even better than that. And if you can jog, now you're really in business, and you get your heart rate up, and you get more benefits that way.
I guess that's where, when I had cardio rehab in the hospital, they wanted 30 minutes 3 times a week, and I guess that's where it comes from.
That's where the statistics kick in. I mean, these people study, they'll study 600 people.
Wow.
And they'll have the double blind where one group is getting a different, a different protocol than the other one. And they'll compare the 2 groups. And what they find is that the break point, when you do less than 3 times a week and less than 30 minutes, you don't get the benefit. But the break-even point where you start to get better is 30 minutes, aerobic exercise, cardio, and doing it at least 3 times a week.
Nice. And I understand that blood flow and oxygen delivery is enhanced by cardio.
It is. Runners will tell you about this. When you get out and do aerobic exercise, what that means is you're not having to gasp for breath. It's within your capacity to breathe normally. When you get out and do aerobic exercise, you're increasing blood flow. And what happens if you do this repeatedly, this is over a long period of time, like say weeks, you start to get new capillary beds.
Wow.
What that means is your body is adapting to the need to supply blood faster to muscles, faster to parts, to the extremities. And so in effect, you're getting better delivery system for oxygen. The way that the oxygen gets to the brain is through the blood. So exercise, it's really incredible. And it's not just for weight loss. The better way to lose weight is don't eat so much. But exercise makes you healthier.
I also read that brain cells growth are also dependent on cardio.
Absolutely. If we don't get one of the things that happens is people get less active, is they don't get as much blood flow, and literally the brain, it doesn't atrophy, but it's as if a muscle that you don't use atrophies. It starts to regenerate more slowly. We don't have the same neurons in our brain that we had when we were kids. Our neurons are regenerated. Now, if we don't eat a healthy diet, if we don't have healthy exercise and habits, if we don't get sleep, it gets in the way of the brain health. So it's really a lifestyle thing, but the one thing to focus in on at a time is cardio. That's really smart. But if we were going to extend this conversation, we would also talk about diet and rest and doing things that help mindfulness.
I like that word, lifestyle, because I really advocate that in our aphasia recovery, we really need to change our lifestyle. We can't just go back to the old life we had. And so that's really important.
Really?
It also, I had read that cardio also strengthens connections in the brain.
Yeah, the brain has these different regions, and there's the old part, the reptilian brain, there's mammalian brain, and then there's the cortex, which is the front. The executive function is where we make decisions and plan and solve problems. That's in the front. And as time goes by, these connections have to develop. A child that, let's say 10 years old, doesn't have much cortical development, but they're coming along. And by the time they get to be 10 to 12, this part kicks in. One of the things that has to happen for a healthy brain development is all the connections between these three parts of the brain. Exercise helps increase those connections. It's been done. It's been looked at under MRIs. It's called functional MRIs. You can see the connections changing over a period of time. It's called an intervention. Somebody maybe had a stroke, has aphasia. You can do MRIs, and over a period of time, you see more connections between the different parts of the brain. So it's really powerful.
That might explain what happened to me when I was shopping for Carolyn, my wife, and I had a short list, but I got to the aisle, and I couldn't make a decision. I had a couple of decisions to make. Which one? And that problem paralyzed me. It was so bad that I had to call Carolyn and said, I'm stuck in the grocery stores. I don't know what to do. And we had a short conversation, and I said, okay, well, let me just take some time here. And it took me maybe 5, maybe even more minutes before I could get out of the situation. And so I was wondering, and I noticed that cardio helps with those decision making.
Right. Well, it didn't fix what was broken when you had your stroke. Literally, parts of your brain die. They are deprived of oxygen, deprived of blood, deprived of whatever they need to function. So you create new neural pathways. So it's like you didn't fix the old road, you built a new road.
Well, I guess that's where nutrition is vital, because to help repair those connections, nutrition really helps.
Oh, it really does.
Yeah, and that's why the 10 program that I've developed, therapy, exercise, and nutrition really helps stimulate those growth to make those connections again.
And that hits all the bases. If I could just digress for a minute, there's a landmark study that was done by a guy named Daniel Amen. He was an MD, and he went into prisons, it's been years ago now, and he did brain scans of violent offenders. And what he found out by looking at those brain scans, he established a baseline. if you compared the brain scan of a violent offender to the brain scan of what we would call a normal person that's functioning pretty well in society, there were parts of the brain in the violent offender that are holes on the MRI.
Oh, wow.
There should have been activity and there wasn't, so there was brain damage through trauma,
Wow.
through mistreatment, through neglect.
Isn't it how they can do that?
It's
The
amazing.
technology is so amazing.
And if you also look at areas in the healthy brain, you see areas that aren't firing. And these areas would be for aggression, for feeling threatened, for being anxious. And you look at the person over here that's got the violent offender profile. That part of the brain is firing. So they're agitated without even anything outside of them happening. So what happened was Dr. Raymond did several interventions, and he actually did the same things you said. He did therapy, he did exercise, and he did nutrition. He looked at it. Yeah, he did those three things, and he found out by coming back and redoing the scans, say 3 to 6 months apart, that there was improvement. There was a rebuilding. The brain was repairing itself.
Do you remember his name?
Yes, Dr. Daniel Amen. Dr. Daniel
Okay,
Amen.
I'm going to have to remember that.
Yeah, he did that, and he's been a big deal on public TV and that sort of thing. But he did this, and so it showed that the brain could repair. And not just that, I'll just go a little longer. His dad was 95 years old, and his dad was already into Alzheimer's. So Dr. Amen decided, I'll try this out on my dad. So he did exercise with the dad, got the dad to do moderate exercise, flexibility and strength, and also nutrition. And the symptoms went away to a large extent. He still was in Alzheimer's, but it retarded it, and he started to get some functioning back because the brain was redeveloping.
That's
Pretty important.
Oh, yeah, really. And that's really when I started to feel the effect of the acceleration of my aphasia recovery was through the exercise and nutrition. I had the therapy, not much, because they only give you 3 months.
That's not enough.
It's not enough. So on the program, I empower those with an app that I have been given by my therapist, Cynthia. Thank you, Cynthia.
Thank you, Cynthia.
And I have the app, and I wish other people would look at the app and purchase it. It is a small fee, but well worth it. Also, cardio reduces stress and puts you in a better mood.
It does.
Yeah.
What happens is there's body chemistry that's going on in your body when you're depressed. And I think it's called catecholamines. It's got a fancy word. I'm not sure I've got that right, but it goes with depression. And when you exercise, it changes that. It changes that body chemistry, and you start to feel better.
That was one of the most asked question of me in the hospital. Do you feel depressed? Everyone medical that came to me, nurses, doctors, therapists, do you feel depressed?
Yeah.
So it must be a biggie when you have a stroke and acquire aphasia and lose your communication, speaking, reading, and writing. It really isolates you, I guess, and it does. And so, yeah.
I think one of the things that scientists have learned is that you can't go past depression. You've got to treat the patient for depression along with whatever other interventions are being done. I mean, the exercise is important, but the therapy could just be about how to be skillful, how to get back your functioning. So you have to add another piece to therapy. Let's do therapy for depression. So.
Yeah. It also, cardio helps protect against cognitive decline.
It does.
So even if you don't have aphasia and you start cardio, it will protect against the cognitive decline, just like reading, writing, those kind of things. Yeah.
Yeah, let's say that you're right. If you don't have aphasia, if you don't have some problem at Alzheimer's, it still helps, and it's been shown even in kids that this improves problem solving. It improves just the ability to be calm and to have a better mood. It improves the ability to manage stress without distress. And it also improves sleep. One of the things that's often underestimated is how important is sleep. Well, if you get enough exercise, and it doesn't have to be a lot, 30 minutes of good exercise 3 days a week.
Which improves sleep, right?
It improves sleep, and sleep is one of the ingredients. If you don't sleep well, you pay for it all day long. You're kind of groggy. You might resort to more sweets, donuts. You might resort to coffee, which I do sometimes when I'm tired. But you really are in deficit. So sleep has the sleep cycles to it, and each one of these sleep cycles has beneficial regenerative effect. So if you don't go through enough of those sleep cycles at night, you get up in the morning and you just don't feel ready to face the day sometimes. You might want to. You might have ambition. So sleep is really important. So the exercise has so many benefits. And one of the ways that, again, I like to look at the lifestyle more than just looking at one thing, but cardio is one of the most important things. But if you did it and you didn't do diet and you didn't do therapy, you wouldn't get as much. Now, what would therapy be for somebody that maybe thinks they don't need therapy? It could be mindfulness exercises. It could just be sitting and being quiet and get you a tape about mindfulness. And one of the things that happens in therapy is you become more mindful of how you're embracing the world.
Well, I want to thank you so much for coming on.
You're welcome.
You're just so great to talk to. I really enjoy your conversations, and I hope you come back real soon.
You can't keep me away. I'm looking forward to it.
Amen. So now I'd like to share some resources with you taken from the National Aphasia Association, a great website. I'm going to show you a little bit about it, but you can go, just look it up and bookmark it. They're a great resource. Cardiovascular exercise, or cardio, can significantly improve cognitive abilities by boosting brain health and function. Cardio enhances blood flow to the brain, supports the growth of new brain cells, we all could use those, improves communication between neurons, ultimately benefiting memory, attention, and problem-solving skills. So remember, cardio not only helps with brain growth, but strengthens existing connections. Cardio improves memory and problem-solving. It reduces stress and puts you in a better mood. And most importantly, it protects against cognitive decline and helps us with cognitive development. Oh yeah, baby. So exercise, VE, is 1/3 of the 10 program: therapy, exercise, nutrition. Don't put off your recovery. Start your cardio today. And through the 10 program, we will walk out of the aphasia fog and again be able to read, write, and speak. And now, tip for the day. Try using your non-dominant hand. You righties, go lefty. You lefties, go righty. And try to use that non-dominant hand, even for writing, and do it for as long as you can every day. It will help, and it really helps with your cognitive development. And so I hope you enjoy and do that. I hope the program was beneficial for you today and you enjoyed it. And until next time, keep looking up.